Back to your favorite intermediate algebra course. Good to see you guys. We're going to look at multiplying and dividing rational expressions. That's our objective, is to do so today. And let's start out with a simplification here of this rational expression. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look at the factoring here. You want to break this down into factored form. So the numerator there, if you remember, out of factor there, you're looking at that x squared term, right? So you know it's got to be x and x. And you look at the 3, so it's got to be factors of 3, 1 and 3. And you look at the negative, that means it's got to be a positive times a negative or a negative times a positive, right? And then you go ahead and put it in, you check it by foiling that thing, and you're like, okay, x squared minus 3x plus x minus 3, that does give you x squared minus 2x minus 3. There's just a quick recap on the old factoring skill. So make sure that you remember how to factor. You go ahead and factor the bottom. That's difference of squares there. So x minus 3 times x plus 3. So that gives you x squared plus 3x minus 3x minus 9. So those inner two terms will cancel. Okay, so we're at this point. Now, if you remember, whenever you have some rational expressions, and you know, let's do something a little easier. Let's go to the side for a minute. Let's say you had like 3x, 3 times x over 2 times x, right? 3 times x over 2 times x. Couldn't you cancel those x's? Just have 3 over 2, right? So x over x is 1. So that's what we're doing here. That's why we want to get this in factored form. Is I say, you know, I got this x plus 1 times the x minus 3 all over x minus 3 times x plus 3. That means the x minus 3 over x minus 3, that simplifies to 1, right? So you're just left with x plus 1 over x plus 3 in this case. Okay, so factor it down, cancel any common factors that you have. That's the name of the game. Let's do another one here. And we'll involve a multiplication operation here. Okay, so let's break down, let's look at that 3x squared plus 6x. So we go ahead and we factor that. Okay, there's your 3x squared plus 6x if you were to distribute that back. Let's factor that denominator, take an x out of each of those. Okay, now multiply by x minus 4, can't do nothing with that. And then with the x squared plus 9x plus 14, say, well, let's try some factors. How about 7, 2? It's got to be a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative. And you factor it down like that, right? And you can consider that x minus 4 as a quantity there. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those parentheses in there just to help myself out. Then you multiply those numerators, you multiply the denominators. So if you want to, you can go ahead and just multiply that all out here. And then we just say, well, what cancels? X plus 2, x plus 2, gone. I got an x minus 4, I got another x minus 4, gone. I got that x right there, I got another x right there, gone. So I'm left with 3 over x plus 7, all done. There it is, simplest form for that one. All right, let's go to another multiplication here. A little bit more involved. Let's factor the negative x. Negative x already factored. Let's look at the x cubed minus 8. Now, if you remember, anything of this form, a cubed minus b cubed, has as one of its factors a minus b, and then we divided those to figure out that it was a squared plus ab plus b squared. A squared plus ab, whoops, plus b squared. Okay. So, let's go ahead and use that to figure this out. Okay, so I look at that x cubed minus 8. I say, oh, that's a difference of cubes. That means x minus 2 has got to be one of the factors, right? 2 cubed is 8, okay? And then we have to go ahead and do this division. X cubed minus 8, x cubed minus 8, divide that x minus 2, and that'll give us what we need. So x squared times x cubed, x squared times negative 2, negative 2x squared, change. Next one's going to be 2x, oops, change. Last one's 4. so 4x minus 8, change, you should not have a remainder here. And that's what that other factor is, x squared plus 2x plus 4. Okay, so that's what x cubed minus 8 factors into. There's the factored form of x cubed minus 8, just in case you forget that pattern. So a minus b, a squared plus a b plus b squared. Okay. Times, and then you got this, see this x squared plus 2x plus 4. Let's go ahead and put that all over 1. And you notice these are being multiplied, right? So I can consider that being in parentheses here. X squared plus 2x plus 4, x squared plus 2x plus 4. Hey, look at that. We're just left with negative x over x minus 2. Okay, so there's your simplified form for that multiplication there. Okay. Let's do a little division. Dividing rational expressions here. Okay, factor the top. There it is, factored. Now that denominator 4x squared plus 12x, that'll factor, let's take a 4x out, and we're left with x plus 3. See that 4x squared plus 12x if you're to divide that out. Now this whole thing is divided by, this whole thing, let me put a big divided by x plus 1 over 3, right? If I was to write that vertically instead of horizontally. Now if you remember, if you're dividing, let's say we got a couple of rational numbers, a half divided by, oh, I don't know, 3 halves, we'll say, okay? And it could be written horizontally like this, okay? If you're simplifying that, vertically you could think about it this, you got to multiply by 2/3, don't you? 2/3 over 2/3 is 1, and you see how you get 1 on the bottom there, and then you can go ahead and you get 2 over 6, which is 1/3. So 1/3 is your answer. Some of you probably learned it this way, where you keep, change, and flip, and you notice you still get 1/3, right? So that's what we're doing here. We're going to keep, change, flip on this, if you will. Okay. I like to think about it vertically myself. So after I factored this out, I'm going to go ahead and go 3 over x plus 1, but I got to do that to the top, right? I can't just all of a sudden introduce that, right? And now I'm just doing a multiplication, right? So I just flipped that x plus 1 over 3 to 3 over x plus 1, right? And then we just say, all right, well, it cancels here. X plus 1, x plus 1, gone. X plus 3, x plus 3, gone. Looks like we have 3 over 4x. We're all done with that division. Okay. Do another one here. Factor that 20x squared plus x minus 1, so that'll be 5x. Let's try 4x here. Factors of 1, 1, and 1. Okay. And then we say, well, it's got, one of these got to, since that's negative, it's got to be either negative positive or positive negative, all right? That should do it for us. And then factor out the bottom, that's 7x cubed plus x. You notice I can take an x out of each of those. Okay, so 7x cubed plus x. And then we're dividing this whole thing, all right? Dividing this all by 4x plus 1 over x, and those are already in factored form. Okay, so we go ahead and flip that, x over 4x plus 1, x over 4x plus 1. Okay, so those are gone. And let's see what happens here. 4x plus 1's gone. X, gone. Looks like we got 5x minus 1, see it there, over that 7x squared plus 1. Okay, that's it. So that's a little bit on multiplying, dividing. Let's do, looks like I got one more here. X times x squared minus 4 all over 2, all divided by this x to the 4th minus 16. Okay, you know what, let me factor this at the end. So let me put this over 1 for now, I'm going to flip it. 1 over x to the fourth minus 16. 1 over x to the fourth minus 16. Okay. All right, so here's what we're dealing with. We got this x, got this x squared minus 4 over 2, and I got this 1 over x to the fourth minus 16, okay? This will keep factoring. X minus 2, x plus 2, so I got difference of squares there. And you notice this x to the fourth minus 16, that'll keep factoring. That is quadratic in form. So x squared minus 4, x squared plus 4. Okay, let me bring all this up here. Now you notice this one, that x squared minus 4, I can still keep going on that one, right? That's also a difference of squares, so x minus 2, x plus 2. Let me rewrite the first rational portion here. And then, again, this x squared minus 4 right there, I'm going to factor that. X minus 2, x plus 2. Can't do anything with that x squared plus 4. That's just stuck. Okay, now let's start canceling. Let's see what we got here. X minus 2, x minus 2. X plus 2, x plus 2. Looks like that's going to be it. So I got x times 1 on the on the top. So 1 times x. I still got 2 there. And I got this x squared plus 4. You can leave it there, or if you want to, you can distribute that back. 2x squared plus 8. So either one of those is fine. Okay, that's multiplying and dividing rational expressions. Thanks for listening. See you guys soon.